Welcome back. All right, so the Selke Award. Finding the best two-way forward in the game, it all depends on how you view it. So what I've got here is your standard stats. I've also pulled from Dom's hockey cards on the Athletic. The effect on a player's, the impact a player has offensively, defensively, 5-on-5 this year, as sort of a look at it, because it should be a positive for both, right? And then I've also factored in face-offs, because when you're voting on this, my guess is the guy who gets a lot of face-off wins, gets a lot of points, and is seen as being very good defensively, probably going to be the guy who wins the award. This is where plus-minus comes in as well, right? So Elias Lindholm is having quite the season, and I think it's starting to attract attention, and it should attract attention for voters of this award. In 73 games, 38 goals, 36 assists for 74 points. His plus 53 is impressive. He also plays down the middle, and it is easier for somebody who plays down the middle to get this award than for somebody who plays on the wing. Now, the offensive side of things, he scores a 24.6 on Dom's cards. So, the 24.6 is the highest number on the board, other than Mitch Marner. We'll get to Marner, and there's a reason I isolated him last. Defense, 13.5, is right around equal with a lot other than Bergeron. It has a ridiculous number. So his face-off percentage, 53.1% overall, is where he's at in the face-off circle. That's pretty good. So he wins face-offs, he's getting goals, he's playing well defensively. They get more goals when he's on the ice than they allow, and the overall advanced numbers, 5-on-5, would tell you he's playing quite well. So, to me, Lindholm should be in the conversation a little bit more than he is. So, as a proclaimed fan of Lindholm since he was with the Carolina Hurricanes, I'd go ahead and say he could win this year. But the two behind him, on this board anyways, are the guys who are probably going to finish ahead of him in the voting, including Sasha Barkov, who is, and I'll say it again, I think the best two-way forward in the game. Now, Lindholm might be having the best season of a two-way forward, but Barkov is right up there with him. 60 games, 34 goals, 46 assists for 80 points. He's a plus 35. Now, offensively, he's given a 17.9 rate. Defensively, 7.8. So, according to Dom's stats, he's better in the offensive side of things than he is on the defensive side of things this year. Although the defense is very good, it's still good enough he's going to get some consideration. He did win the award last year, and his face-off rate is very good at 56.8%. So he wins a lot of face-offs. He plays on a team that's very near at it's at the top of the East. It's very near the top of the overall NHL. And so Barkov's probably going to be top two. The question becomes, what about Bergeron? In 65 games this year, 20 goals, 36 assists, 56 points. The offensive side of Bergeron's game it appears it may have started to tail off just a little bit. He's a plus 20. Offensively, he's a 12.8. Defensively, he is a ridiculous 33.4. I did a double take when I saw that number when I was going through and filling all these up. He has won the award 4 times, most recently in 2017. So 2015, 2014, 2012 as well. His face-off percentage, 62.0%. And you will find a lot of people say he is the best two-way forward in the game. And while I would argue it's Barkov, I would probably have Bergeron at number 2. And this is coming from me, even though I'm saying Lindholm probably deserves a lot of consideration for the award. He has had a remarkable season. Then there's Mark Stone, who through injury has had his numbers come down quite a bit. Only the 29 games, 8 goals, 20 assists, 28 points. He's a plus 6. And I have Stone on the board because A, he got a lot of votes last year. I did put guys on the board who had a lot of votes last year. And B, I do think that when he's healthy and when he's going, he's one of the best players. But, again, according to Dom's cards, the offensive side, 19.1, that's a good number. Defensively, a negative 13.8. Now, he's been slowed by injury. It's definitely affecting his game. His face-off percentage doesn't really matter. It's 46.4%, but he's only taken 28 face-offs because he's not a center. So, 28 face-offs in 29 games. Honestly, his face-off percentage being 46.4, it's not bad, considering how rarely he takes face-offs. Joel Eriksson Ek. So, 67 games, 21 goals, 20 assists, 41 points. He's a plus 17 on the season. Eriksson Ek's been very good. The offensive side, only a 1.2. So he's barely in the positive on that, which kind of surprised me. And again, this is just 5-on-5, so special teams isn't considered there. And special teams, when you're looking at this award, I would think it's more important than whether or not they're a penalty killer than whether or not they're on the power play. But again, there isn't any really agreed upon criteria for how to measure all this, which is why there's a lot on this board, because it really is kind of this abstract thing. Who's the best two-way forward? Go ahead, announce it. All right. He's a 15.6 defensively, is Eriksson Ek. His face-off percentage might hurt him, 46.7% on the face-offs. Ryan O'Reilly, 69 games, 17 goals, 31 assists, 48 points, a plus 14 this year. Offensively, he's listed as a negative 4.1. Again, this is 5-on-5. Defensively, he's a 12.7. So he's kind of hurt St. Louis 5-on-5 offensively a bit this year, beyond what he was supposed to. And then defensively, he's been very good. He won the award in 2019. His face-off percentage, 56.7%. So overall, I don't think O'Reilly gets into the conversation this year, not as a top three. Philippe Danault could. 74 games, 23 goals, 24 assists, 47 points. He's a plus 12. On the offensive side, he's a 12.1. Interestingly enough, on the defensive side, he's a negative 4. But with voters, the fact that he has been seen as a very good defensive forward for a long time, now he's experiencing that offensive kind of coming out party in LA, it's possible he gets some consideration. His faceoffs, 53.9% in the faceoff circle. So it's possible Danault could get some votes. Joe Pavelski will likely get some too. 73 games, 27 goals, 46 assists, 73 points, and he's a plus 12. Offensively, 14.1. Defensively, 6.3. So pretty good numbers overall. Now on the face-off side, 51.9% for Pavelski. But he has been a huge driver for the Dallas Stars this year in terms of keeping them in the playoff hunt. Like the veterans who get paid really big money in Dallas have been disappointing at points this year. Pavelski is not. He had a bit of a slow start, but boy, did he overcome that quickly. Jordan Staal, 72 games, 14 goals, 18 assists, 32 points, and he's a plus 11. Now, when I started watching hockey, Guy Carbonneau and Bob Gainey were the best. And Bob Gainey was winning this award going away. Bob Gainey was a great defensive forward. Offensively, he had seasons where he wasn't necessarily fantastic, but he would still win the award because we knew he was the best defensive forward. To me, Jordan Staal is a throwback to that kind of forward. And I think kind of the spirit of what the award was meant to be initially when it was created. Offensively, he's only a 6.0, but defensively, he's a 12.3. Now, I say only a 6.0, but Jordan Stahl's been producing pretty well lately. His faceoff percentage, 57.4%. If you need to win a faceoff, you put Jordan Staal on the ice. He's the type of guy you'd throw out on the ice to win the faceoff in an overtime and then take him off the ice right away. So Staal is really, honestly, I think, as I said, a throwback, and he's not going to get a lot of discussion, but he'll get the odd, probably third, fourth place vote here and there. Again, he's on the board because he did get that kind of voting last year. Anze Kopitar is very interesting. So it's been a bounce-back season for LA on some level. They're still not out of the woods in terms of making the playoffs, but they've achieved beyond what was expected. So 76 games for Kopitar, 18 goals, 44 assists, 62 points, but he's a minus 11. And I think that's going to hurt him. Plus, according to the 5-on-5 numbers, again, from Athletic, minus 4.4 offensively, minus 0.6 defensively. So 5-on-5, it has not been a fantastic season for Kopitar. He did win the award in 2018 and 2016. He wins 57.2% of his faceoffs this year. He may get some consideration, but I think Danault would probably get the votes ahead of Kopitar this year for the Selke. But it's interesting because you would think in a bounce-back year for the Kings that Kopitar would be a big driving force behind it, and it's not really the case if you look at these numbers. Sidney Crosby, and Crosby's been discussed before in terms of his two-way forward prowess, that it is underrated. And right now we might have that same case with Connor McDavid. We might have it with Austin Matthews, where their two-way game's a little bit underrated. So, and I'm saying a little bit underrated, not that they deserve to win the award. Crosby, though, you could make the argument. 62 games, 28 goals, 49 assists, 77 points. He's a plus 14, and on the offensive side, he's an 11.4. So he's not in the same realm as Lindholm, Barkov, or Bergeron. And also defensively, 5.2. That's below the top 3 guys on the board as well. Again, the top 3 guys on the board, as far as I'm concerned, are the top 3 and should be the top 3 when they reveal the finalists when the season's done. They'll reveal the finalists when the season's done, and then, of course, the awards are during the Stanley Cup Finals this year. Don't forget. So, for Crosby, 51.6% in the faceoff circle seems low for him, but honestly, he's had a great two-way season. Definitely deserves at least a couple of votes here and there. Connor Brown is one that I like, but I like him as a penalty killer. And once you get into the numbers, it's not great. 59 games, 10 goals, 27 assists, 37 points. He's a minus 12. And again, this was just for me. I just did this part just for me because, again, I'm a Connor Brown fan. But offensively, a negative 0.5. Defensively, a negative 9.5. So Connor Brown, not in the running. For the record, he has a 39.2% face-off rate at 120 face-offs. So, probably not, right? All right, moving along. Valeri Nichushkin. Nichushkin, of course, famously had a season in Dallas with no goals. Leaves the NHL and ends up in Colorado. And not much was expected of him. It was a cheap contract. But, man, this year, you can make the argument Nichushkin should be as high as 4th in the voting for this. 54 games, so he hasn't played a full season, which might hurt him in the voting. 21 goals, 22 assists, 43 points, and a plus 20. And offensive side of things, he's a 13.6. Defensive side of things, he's a 14.6. So you go Valeri Nichushkin, you're having quite the season. 0.0% on his 5 faceoffs. I guess that could hurt him because he's a winger. He's not a center. And him being a winger would hurt him in the voting too. Wingers don't generally do very well in the voting. But honestly, Valeri Nichushkin has been fantastic defensively for Colorado. And the offensive side with the 21 goals, unexpected bonus right there. Anthony Cirelli. So when you talk about Tampa, people are going to talk about Cirelli. The expectation is that at some point he could end up in the category of one of the best two-way forwards in the game, including the offensive side. The offensive side's been a little bit slower. So 68 games, 15 goals, 24 assists, 39 points. He's a plus 17 this season. Offensively, again, 5-on-5 impact, negative 0.5, but his defense, 18.0. So again, Cirelli kind of a throwback to eras previous, to when you would see a guy get this award that didn't necessarily have a fantastic offensive season, but he was very good at shutting things down. And Cirelli is very good at shutting things down. His face-off percentage would hurt him, though, at 47.1%. The idea that you have a forward that can win defensive zone face-offs, can win all those big face-offs, it does increase their profile and increase their likelihood of being seen as a really good defensive forward. Now, I'm wearing the Bo Horvat jersey because full disclosure on this, I've been a big proponent of everything Bo Horvat for a long time. But the numbers don't look good. 69 games played, 31 goals, 21 assists, 52 points. Those numbers look great. 31 goals and 52 points looks fantastic for Horvat, but he's only a plus 3. Now, you can make the argument that for Horvat, and you can make this argument with Connor Brown too, they don't play on teams with really strong plus-minus numbers overall. But, again, it's going to hurt them in relation to other guys. And offensively, 5-on-5 impact, Horvat's a minus 5.2. Defensively, he's only a 4.1. But the faceoffs, 57.1%. He had that game against Arizona where he went 17-0 in the faceoff circle. I like Horvat. I think he's a good two-way forward. Is he in this category? No. Will he ever get to that category? Probably not, but I will be discussing how much I enjoy his play for many years to come. And so for Horvat, again, 31 goals is remarkable, and he's been, I think, one of their... Although you could make the argument JT Miller as a two-way forward also has some of that. But with Miller, I didn't put him on the board. There's just too many turnovers that stand out in my mind. So that brings us to Mitch Marner. Because again, if I discuss somebody from the Toronto Maple Leafs, the argument's going to be, it's Toronto again. But Marner deserves discussion. 64 games, 31 goals, 59 assists, 90 points. I think the offensive side is going to overshadow what he's done defensively. He's a plus 20 this season. On the offensive side of things, 30.7. According to this number, 30.7, which puts him ahead of everybody else on the board. Defensively, 9.1. I don't have the face-off numbers up here. I don't think the face-off numbers are a big deal, but let me get them up there. And I'm right. He's taken 13 face-offs this year, but he has won 53.9% of them, meaning I guess that's 7 out of 13. But Marner honestly has been fantastic for the Leafs this year. And again, if you're looking at the defensive side of things, that 9.1 puts him ahead of Crosby. The 9.1 puts him ahead of Barkov. The offense puts him ahead of Barkov. So, right? So while I think Lindholm, Bergeron, Barkov might be your top three, I wouldn't rule out Marner either. I think that's one of those things that somehow kind of flies under the radar. That I think because there's so much attention paid to that guy that wears the 34 for Toronto, that sometimes it's easy to overlook number 16 as well. But I'd be interested to know your thoughts in the comment section below. So what I'm looking for from people watching this is, who do you think is going to be the top three? Who should be the top three for the Selke this year? Let me know your thoughts. I look forward to Couturier being healthy next year so he can get back on this board. But let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. Just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.